Hello everyone! Actually, you know what? Let me, oop. Wow, look, we can talk to each other. It's like I'm here, I'm really here. Can everyone hear me? Am I good? I hope so. I can see the peak graph going up and down, so I'm assuming that works and I'm not just like crazy. Yeah, how's everyone doing? There's a lot of messages in chat already. Hey there, Prop Fox. Hey there, Base to Oblivion. Hey there, Tomorrow. Hey there, Brian. How you doing? Yeah, you're blue. Very, very strange. Yeah, you have blue powers. You can't hear me. Oh no. I'm assuming that's a joke. Yeah. So it's been a while. I'm gonna address the allegations before we start, okay? First of all, yes, it has been like a month. Sorry about that. It's just been, things have been really busy. You know, I've got this like commercial project that I've been doing with Brian in Tix and Chat, and we found out a deadline that we thought was due June 10th. I just saw something on my other screen. Oh god, I'll address that in a moment. A deadline that we thought was due June 10th was actually due on May 4th. So we had a fun like 3 weeks straight of grind where we did nothing other than work for pretty much our entire waking hours. So that kind of sucked, but here we are, and you know, things are pretty good. Hey there, Jappio, you know who I am. Yeah, we were super exhausted. And then after that, I needed like a week to recoup. I was kind of going crazy. And then second allegation, my room is... Has it been 30 seconds yet? I think it's been 30 seconds. My room's a clusterfuck right now. And you might catch glimpses of it behind my chair. It's not just because I'm a disaster, although that is also true. I'm going through my entire wardrobe and throwing out stuff that I don't like or doesn't fit, and I'm midway through the process, so there's lots of piles of organized but scattered clothes on the ground, so please don't judge me too hard. Third, okay, apparently there's 4 hours of ears on the timer, so I guess we gotta get these out pretty quick. That's kind of horrifying. I'm not even gonna bother to throw on the timer because that is basically just the whole stream. I don't think I'm gonna be going for more than 4 hours. It's so hard to do this right when, like, okay, so for context, right? You're seeing me like a camera's pointed at my head, which is not the same as if I had a mirror pointed at me. And it's really hard for me to align that and make that make sense with this camera not being mirrored. It's fucking with my head. Oh, an ender printer. Yeah, I adopted that from a friend who no longer wanted it for some reason. I've printed like 2 frogs and an unsuccessful monitor stand, so, you know. Am I donating stuff? I don't know. I mean, like, I assume you're talking about the clothes. I don't know. I mean, like, I'll probably let my friends get first pick at it, and then I might put the rest of it at, like, a thrift shop or something. But, yeah. Do all of us VOXEL devs just find ourselves on other VOXEL devs channels? I think that is kind of how it works. It's a very social little space. Yeah, no, when I first started streaming, I actually exclusively used, like, mirror camera. So I would have, like, I would have it like this the entire time. Because I felt really weird looking at my face not mirrored. Like, it felt super uncanny to me, which, you know, I guess is kind of a normal human experience. But it made words all backwardsy, and I was kind of just like, I don't know, I feel like I should get used to how I look, like, not flipped. But now, seeing myself flipped looks more weird. It's like, whoa, it's weird. I should print out a map I'm working with? Oh, like a Zepha map? On the printer? That would be really cool, actually. That would be super cool. Alright, let me actually throw up Zepha on the screen here. There we go. It's like I'm a real programmer person. Oh, the frame rates were really crunchy. Oh, I think that's just from generating new terrain. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm not gonna pretend it hasn't been. This is not a I just couldn't find time to stream, but I was working on the game moment. I haven't touched it in like a month other than like yesterday. Yeah, I would be interested in printing a Zepha map. That would be really cool. I think I know how to do it. Like, I do know how to, like, create and slice a model. Although I'd need to export some geometry from the game for that to work. But, like, that's probably not a hugely complicated thing to do. I imagine I'd need to, like, strip a lot of the little details, like the, like, tiny little sticks and stuff. I'd probably just want to do, like, a cubic mesh, but that would be really fun. That would be cool. But yeah, so what are we gonna do today? I thought I'd kind of, float the question out before we start. If nothing else, I'll probably continue working on the map generation stuff. But if anyone's had some, like, horrifying, you know, like, nit that they've been thinking about forever for the engine, where it's just been like, oh, I can't stand how the leaves, they sway slightly wrong or something, let me know, because, you know, I'm looking for something a little bit nice and simple to get back into it. Lots of sticks. Was there a tornado? Yeah, the tornado was bad Perlin noise generation. There are a lot of sticks. There's more sticks down there than there are trees to generate them. It would be nice if they actually generated dynamically around the base of the trees. That would be cool. Being able to open geometry and textures in Blender would be cool. It would be cool. It would definitely be cool. No need to strip details, although you might want to watch out for floating regions, like the bottoms of trees. Floating regions? Like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, because that could end up with, like, drippy stuff, right? I might have to, like, change the tree schematic so it kind of goes, like, whoop, instead of, like, bloop. That's my very scientific description of it. Work on the fluid rendering? I don't want to work on the fluid rendering. The fluid rendering... So, fluids I do want in the game. I do want volumetric fluids, but I feel like I need to do more research before I actually commit to working on it, because I feel like my algorithm really sucked. So, we'll see. I'm gonna... Hold on, there we go. I don't know if you guys saw, but someone came in and just typed !OnlyFans in the Twitch chat. Why not use a fading circle around the trees to pinch off the stick generation? That would be smart. That would be smart. Right now, everything is like independent noise modules, though. It's definitely possible to do. I'd probably want to use a noise module, lower the octaves, and then do a bit of a clamp. Marching cubes might be cool. That would be cool. That would be cool. I think what I might actually work on, though, now that I think about it, is lighting. I keep getting people asking if I have lighting systems. Like, there's been a bunch of people just, like, commenting on YouTube about, like, whether or not I have a lighting algorithm, and it kind of stings every time, because I have this really advanced lighting algorithm that's almost ready, and then, you know, I just haven't finished it. It's just kind of been sitting there, incomplete, forever. It might be fun to brush off the dust on that system and actually see if it works. So yeah, maybe let's take a look at that. I'm just confirming real quick. Is my music leveled okay? Yeah, it looks okay. Alright, cool. So yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's open some code. The GUI system is probably also a good candidate for fixing too. That's still a mess. But that is not a right now problem. Game close, thank you. Okay, yeah, so let's go take a look at the lighting system, because I kind of want to talk about this. So, we have light. It is very complicated. It's a bunch of, like, word-level parallelism stuff. I want to create a video on this, but I kind of feel like I have to, like, work up to it, because I actually think I might explode people's brains if they come from, like, here's the basics of how meshing works, and then it's like, oh yes, I use the bit mask to XOR the values of the light to be able to do multiple additions in one integer space, and then I mask out the carry bit so I can determine if there's a decimal point. I feel like that might cause people's minds to melt, so I feel like I kind of have to work up to that. But I am really interested to show off the lighting system. But the gist of it is that it's a node-based system like Minecraft, in the sense that it has like light level per block that propagates outwards. But instead of having one channel, it has 9. It basically has 3 RGB channels for block light, 3 for sunlight, and then 3 for cascading sunlight. And the way the system works is that cascading sunlight is effectively the light that will actually like move downwards infinitely without decaying in value. Like if it was coming from the heavens and just going down, you know, it wouldn't decrease in value. and then as soon as it goes under an underhang, all of the cascading light gets transformed immediately into non-cascading sunlight, and then that basically functions like block light, except with the like extra bullshit of it turns off at night. And that ends up having a lot of light channels. It's a lot of data. It's where do I even have? I think it's like 96 bits per light node, which is kind of cursed, but because of the way that it's kind of like a very consistent pattern, it should in theory be pretty easy to compress if I built some nice algorithm for that, but not right now. Even now though, like I just use run length indexing and it works pretty good because, you know, most of the world is just dark, right? Tell them to just Google fixed point. I don't think that would actually give them sufficient knowledge for this. I feel like word level parallelism is its own weird little beast that does need to be explained. Boom, there's my brain gone. Yeah, it's kind of fucky. But then additionally, the actual light propagation thing, the spreading, it has this strange shit here. It has like some extra stuff going on where it detects the last direction of the light spread, and it decrements by only like half the value if it's going a different direction or something, and it makes the pattern more like an octagon than a diamond, and it's pretty much impossible to explain. I'm gonna need to actually write everything, or I'm gonna have to render it to really showcase it. Hello, what's the plan for today? Today I'm gonna actually get my lighting rendering again, because it's existed for a long time, it just hasn't actually been enabled, and also there's like a bunch of bugs with it, but we'll see if we get to the bugs today, but my highest priority is actually trying to get it to work. So, what's the first thing? I guess the first thing is making sure the lighting system even runs. So let's go over to the client dimension. Yeah, it should work out. So when I add a block, we call recalculate light. Let's confirm what recalculate light does. Okay, if the definition emits light, and we're doing stuff, then we create a light, we set the fact that it's special. Right, that's cursed. Why did I call it that? Sets a light to be special, light source or semi-permeable. Okay, sure, Ari, that's great. No, that makes sense, because I guess, like, basically the distinction for if it's special is basically if it needs to look up the, like, node definition, because we need to look up the definition to see what its semi-permeability factor is, or to see if it's a light source. And then I enqueue into the light to do stuff. Okay. So that enqueues into the add queue. Okay, and do we actually process it? Hey there, Joffrey, how you doing? Semi-permeability, that's a word I've never heard before. Yeah, I don't know if it's the right word. I'm using it to describe basically like some blocks, like leaves or something. You might want to make it so that they let through more green light than red and blue, so that the shade under trees is tinted with the leaf color, like in real life. And that's what I'm referring to when I talk about like the semi-permeability. It's basically a multiple factor that will get applied by certain blocks to the light to affect how it gets like shifted through it. Man, who wrote this shit? Me on a solo project. Oh geez, yeah, I'm getting to that point. Okay, so we have the flush light queue, which does stuff. It certainly does stuff. There's a lot of comments here that look like debug comments, and that's making me think this is not going to work. But let's double check. Does this ever get called? Go to references. Client dimension, flush light queue, flush light queue. That happens on those. Okay, it kind of looks like it doesn't. Hold on. Do I not actually trigger flush light queue with anything? Oh boy. Okay, well, let's put a log on the flush light queue. Flushing light queue. just to see if this actually does anything. And then while I'm here, I'm gonna quickly go into world and I'm gonna stop printing. There's like something that prints every, yeah, this warning. That's just for like debugging, and I do not need that open right now. Okay. All right, let's run the game and see if it ever actually computes the lights. I think it won't, but we'll find out. Because I think that was in a micro task at some point, and I don't think the micro tasks are working. Oh, there's this. Yeah, okay, update light right here. So that is something that needs to be done. Okay, let's give me a light. Could not find light. Oh, Jesus, what are they called? They are called light blue, light cyan. Sure, alright. Give light blue. Give Zeus default light blue? Hey, there's a light. Huh. It's writing once that it's emplacing into the add queue. So that's something. And we're just not fleshing it. Okay, so let's try updating the light, and we'll see if it melts. We'll see if it implodes. Here we go. So, I'm hoping this doesn't break, because if it does, I'm gonna be very sad, because I have no idea what's wrong with it. Oh, wow, okay. We're just grinding, apparently. Why are we flushing the light queue? Oh, of course, because I set it to go on update. That does check out. Let's give me a blue light, and if I place it, I got a bunch of warnings. Light queue finished in 100 milliseconds. Oh boy, that's a lot. Okay. 3 million nodes, 65,000 modifications over 45 chunks. What have I fucking done here? Okay. Huh. Alright. Aria got timed out in your server for forwarding a message with an at everyone thing. Oh no! Oh, that makes sense actually. Yeah, no, I have... Hold on, I'll fix you. Let's... remove timeout. No, wait, that didn't work. Remove timeout. There we go. Yeah, I have that blocked because, there was like a lot of spam bots that were coming in and doing that everyone ping, and, you know, it was an easy way to basically be like, okay, well, they can't do it, but if they try, then I can just time them out, and then I see that they tried to do some bullshit. 100 milliseconds, very fast real-time lighting. It's not fast enough. It needs to happen on, like, the same frame. Well, let's actually see what the scope of this light is first, though. I'm gonna... Okay. Let's cancel the flushing light queue. And we're gonna actually add lighting back to the chunk mesher. So, I think that the majority of the code to send the light to the server is implemented. Oh, I don't think it is anymore. I just saw all those zeros. Hold on, what is this function? Mesh part. Mesh part span. Oh. Oh, this is gonna suck. Okay. Usually takes about 100 milliseconds for me to see the light when I turn it on. Okay. I've made a mistake. Okay. Huh. My mistake is that I've made gritty meshing, and I've not actually accounted for the light values when doing so. Okay, well, that's kind of a different issue to solve, isn't it? That's an interesting problem. But first, let's actually try... I'm gonna kill all these. I guess I can't kill all of these. I'm gonna wrap this in a block so I can collapse it. Because that's how real programmers hide from comments that they don't want to refactor. Okay. So, let's entirely ignore the spanning stuff right now. And actually, to do this a little bit more jank, let's go to compute spanning. Let's just turn that off. Now we've just killed our greedy meshing. It's gone forever. It's never coming back. No, I will fix it. I do have a system in mind for storing light values in greedy meshed segments, but it's gonna be really funky. My code is not a mess. It's just kind of a mess. It's pretty messy. It's just the parts that I haven't like touched in a while that are really bad. Okay, so now we have no more greedy meshing, which is kind of tragic, but it's fine for now. Let's go over to the chunk mesher. So in here, we need to pass in a light value, a light direction, and a light fall off. I don't remember what the hell light fall off is for. It's 5 bits. So oh, I think I know what this is for. I'm pretty sure that this was a value from like a fall off direction that is either, wait, okay, hold on. So I think I understand what this is. Let me open GIMP. This is great. We're gonna open GIMP, and let's create a new image. Am I querying the lighting value in the shader, or am I baking it into the mesh? I am baking it into the mesh, and I do have a system that should work for greedy meshing. We're gonna find out if it works for greedy meshing, probably, but it's been like percolating in my head for a long time, and I think it does make sense. We're gonna find out though. But I'm pretty sure the whole point of light fall off is that it is meant to encode the direction of the light. Wait, no, that's what light dir does. Light fall off is how much the light decays in the fall off direction along this face. And this is the direction the light is traveling. Probably cheaper to bake the light into a 3D texture. I don't agree with that, because then we're going to be encoding a lot of information about lights, about blocks that are in air. I mean, I guess I could just remove any chunk that doesn't have any opaque block, but I mean, let's do some fast math here. So if I want to encode, I don't need the direction of the fall off. I would only need the value. According to whatever the hell I've got here, it looks like the packed light value that I care about is 42 bits. We're gonna move that up to 48 because I'm trying to encode this in a reasonably indexable value. So let's see, so I've 32 times 32 times 32 blocks times 48 bits over 8 for bytes over 1024 for kilobytes. That's 192 kilobytes per surface chunk, which means that okay, so if that's 192 kilobytes per surface chunk, and I think I render about 3,000 chunks with blocks in them right now, that would be 562 gigabytes? Did I do that right? Because this was kilobytes, right? Then this is 3,000 chunks in kilobytes, so that's 562 megabytes. I don't like the idea of throwing that cost down right now. I think that is something that I will maybe do if there are entities in a chunk. So like, for example, entities need to be illuminated by the light data that exists around them. And I will probably encode chunk light maps for like the spaces around entities, because in some like sections I want really large entities that can be like properly affected by light in multiple spots, versus how Minecraft just has like one base lighting value for an entity that is like the entire model has that much light. But in general, I don't want to commit to this sort of cost for every chunk. I do want to see if I can encode it into the greedy mesh data, which I think I can. But we're gonna ignore these two numbers right now. We're gonna ignore these two numbers for now, and we're just gonna set the light value. Did you account for light values being 0 to 15, meaning they would be half bytes? They are not 0 to 15. They are 0 to 63, I think, in my system, because I wanted to be able to have like longer cascading lights. It's honestly very different from the Minecraft system. So yeah, we need to do light pack render U64. I assume that's what I want. Why can't I go to the definition? Go to declaration? What? Pack render U64. I don't know why my code navigation stuff is so jank. If anyone knows how to make VS Code actually like using C++, that would be nice. My keyboard is loud, I know. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just a loud-ass keyboard. Okay, so pack render U64. It's 7 bits for a single value. Packed mask lower 42 is that. We return val 0. Yeah, that looks right. That looks like the light mask. Okay, so that is 42 bits. And the data allocates 42 bits. It's beautiful. It just works, I guess. How do you manage loading the world? Do you use chunks or... yeah, it's cubic chunks right now. And as for how I do it, it's kind of jank. I mean, like, I don't have world saving or loading yet. It basically just places it into a giant unordered map. Although I want to use an octree at some point to optimize lookups as we go down. Do you understand how your code utilizes the GPU? I mean, yes, I think so. I wrote it. I would hope I understand. Okay, I've got this render light value, although that's already one U64, so I'm assuming that I already pack it on the outside. Let's go take a look. Light is here. It does get computed here. Okay, good. I apparently don't do it for far distance meshes. That's kind of strange, but sure. How fast does it generate the terrain? Because I've got issues where it takes forever for me. It's pretty fast. I wish it was faster, and I'm probably going to optimize it some more, but I do a lot of stuff with... I use a library called Fast Noise 2, and it basically... It has a lot of SIMD stuff going on inside it that makes it pretty fast. I guess my biggest point of advice, if you're working with an external library that can generate like large regions of noise at the same time, is always use those. They're not just there for convenience. They are a lot faster than like polling single values in a like naive loop. Okay, so I am generating the lighting values and I am sending them forward now. So I guess the next part is to get the world shader. Fast Noise 2 is crazy good. It is so good. It's super good. I'm almost tempted to contribute to it because I mentioned to the dev a while ago that it would be really, really, really nice if it was possible to get the gradient out of the noise generation as well as just the value, and they seemed really receptive to the idea, but we're also like, if you want to implement it, go ahead. And I was just like, oh, I don't understand any of this. But I might do that, because right now I'm doing like some weird gradient approximation stuff in my map gen that isn't that good, and it's quite computationally expensive, and it would be nice if it could just be generated as like a byproduct of the noise. Contri is useful for ray marching, not rasterizing. Huh. What is Contri? Okay, so I've got the light value, and that should be being passed in the face data, which is going to be an encoded face. Oh, have you considered using a Contri /64 tree rather than a octree? Sorry, I missed that message. I don't actually know what those are. I'm assuming that it's some sort of data structure that's like an octree but has more elements? Can't you just manually calculate the gradient from delta neighbors? Yes, that's what I'm currently doing, but it's kind of slow. I could probably speed it up though, honestly. I just haven't like looked into optimizing it as much. 64 nodes instead of 8 nodes. That does seem better for like less lookups, but I don't know if overall that really changes stuff that much. Where is my function that does this? So that's an encoded face. Oh god, I don't have anything that unpacks it. Okay, I see how it is. I'm just being horrible right now. Oh god, okay. Well then, I need to figure out how this works. So lighting encodes first value, second, third, skylight. Okay, so it encodes two things. So it encodes a node light RGB and then skylight RGB, and the single value mask is 7 bytes, or 7 bits each, which means that this should be overall 21 bits, and then this should be 21 bits equals 42 bits. Okay, that makes sense. So I basically need to rip out the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth sets of 7 bits. And then I need to actually get its index into the face, which is here. I'm gonna start writing offset 0, offset 5, offset 10, offset 15, offset 20, offset 25, offset 30. Oh, I guess I've already kind of got this here. So it's being read as, I believe, 3 integers? Let's see, face. What do you think you are? Yeah, A, B, C, and D. Hey Smarty, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm looking at this old lighting code I wrote and then never fixed. So, why is this only 41 in here? That's definitely normal. Okay, so, wait, is this even correct? Oh man, this is melting my brain. Where did it go? Node mesh data, chunk mesh. Okay, 555, 555, 888, 20, 42. Okay, this should just be 20. Then 42, 45. Okay, so that is the right size. So if we want to get the start of the light, that's going to be 20 plus 24 plus 15 plus 15, which is equal to 30 plus 44 is equal to 74. And then mod 32 is going to be 10, so it's C shifted right 10 should be the first access to the light, I think. C shifted right by 10. So if we want to go get the block light, have I already done this anywhere? I swear, no, okay. If we want to get the block light, then we should be able to go UVEC3, block light is going to be UVEC3, face.c, shifted right 10, and mask 7, which we're going to write. And then we're going to go face.c, shifted right 17, and mask 7. And then face.c, shifted right 23, and mask 7. Happy you're back. Those are dark times. Oh, I'm glad you're excited. I'm glad that, you know, I can be back and doing streaming again. I'm really happy that I've actually got some free time again. Okay, hold on. 17 and 23, that's wrong. This should be 24. It's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, okay. And that 24 plus 7 would be 31, right? Why can't I do math? Yes, 31, which means that this is all correct, but we have some other weirdness here, where to get the first skylight value, it's going to be partially in face.d, because this goes up to 31, so we need to do face.d shifted left 1, or face.c shifted right 31, and mask 7. Because basically we need to grab all of the bits of D shifted left 1, then the rightmost, or the leftmost bit of C shifted all the way to the right, which should make sense. And then for the G value, we should be able to go face.D shifted left, or shifted right 6? Yeah. Thank God, because you said that, otherwise I would have jinxed it. You're safe. Okay, so we'll do that, and then face.d shifted right 13, right? Because 6 plus 7, 13, yeah. Okay, and mask 7. Okay. Bit shifting nonsense aside, that should be our light values, and I should be able to, if I just go... Do I have a mask 7 defined? No. Well, that's fine. The reason I have these predefined is because I've not internalized hexadecimal. Every time I need to get like a certain number of bits, I have to go like binary to hex converter, and then I type 111111, and then I go, oh, it's 7F. Yeah. What is that? Oh, this reminds me of some code I wrote recently. Pattern stencil is U64 max, pattern LM, left pattern LM, mask LM. Yeah, bit shifting is always that sort of nonsense. I don't like how writing faster and faster code makes me feel. It feels like crack, allegedly. I permanently have a calculator on my desk that does decimal binary hex conversion. That's smart. Oct too? Huh. I've never used Oct. I have a TI-84 somewhere. I assume it can do that. I just, you know, Google is right there. Does GLSL not allow for binary literals? No, it doesn't. It's really dumb. If you try to go 0B, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, it freaks out. I'm detecting spam. Yeah, hold on. Be gone. Oh, is that not working? Ooh. You've bested me. My clicking isn't working. There we go, I think. Good. Okay. I could have just diffed the pattern LM and mask LM, but I didn't feel like doing that. Easier to do the double shift. I mean, the CPU should optimize that anyways, right? Okay. I guess we're gonna find out if this works. I'm slightly terrified it won't. So we're gonna get the block light and the skylight, and we're going to compute a final light, and we're gonna send it along to the fragment shader. On Windows, pin the calculator to the taskbar and use Windows 1. Oh, can you do that? You just press a number key to summon... That's cool. I don't use Windows, so I can't really take advantage of that, but that is neat. I could probably just set a keybind on my keyboard, to be honest, but I just haven't done that yet. Okay, so I don't have a lighting value that's coming in here yet. I could just do it in the vertex shader, I think, because... Wait, do I send a blend color along? No, I don't, actually. Okay, so then I need something coming into here. I'm just gonna go layout location equals 3 invec4f, or invec3f blend. And then we're gonna have to increment these, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna have to increment these. Layout location is equal to 3, out vec3f blend. Cool, and then we're gonna set the blend color. I'm gonna need a define light max is going to be equal to mask 7, I guess? Because that will be the maximum value. Can I do this? Can I do like a nested define like this, or will this just become the string literal, or like the character mask 7? Oh, thank you for the tier 2 subscription, Zeph. It should optimize that anyway, famous last words. I hope it does. If it doesn't, that's kind of messed up. Okay, so... Can anyone tell me if this actually works? I mean, I could just do this, or I could just use mask 7. It's more so curiosity than anything. Okay, so... If we go, let's just have a float sunlight factor. 0.2. That should get sent in by a uniform, but for now, it is just there, okay? And we're gonna go vec3, or we're gonna go f blend is going to be equal to vec3 skylight times sunlight factor. Why did I change the name here? Skylight factor. Oh, that has to have a capital by my own rules. So sad. And then we're gonna go, I guess we need a max, and then vec3 block light, and then we're gonna divide it all by float mask 7. And I think that works. And completed with exit code 0. And then we're gonna multiply this by f blend. Okay, and we should see a really dark world. We're gonna find out. In theory, it should work. But how often does that actually work? Use GCC-E to see the preprocessor output. C preprocessor is just a simple text substitution. Need to use hash to concatenate string tokens. But like, will it actually, will it actually, like, if I make it so that a define is another macro, will it recursively select them? I don't think I can check the GCC preprocessor stuff right now because this is shader code, but... Oh, everything's looking kind of weird. Oh! Oh, it's looking very weird. Uh-oh. Huh. Something tells me I got my offsets wrong. Or my lighting values are, like, super weird right now. But that would be worse, so let's hope that's not it. Let's give myself a Zeus default light blue and see what happens. Oh, it made some light. Hold on. Okay. It might be the algorithm. I really hope it's not the algorithm. But that's very strange. It's like a kitchen floor. GNOME has a super nice UI. You can execute any command with any shortcut. Yeah, I do have some custom shortcuts. I should just get around to doing that. Check out the mesh. I mean, all the data's encoded and nasty, so it would be kind of hard to pull it out of there. I'm gonna do a really simple test, and I'm just gonna go into the chunk mesher. And I'm going to not compute the light. And if this is actually working properly, we should just get entirely dark terrain, right? Clip the blooper. Yeah, we should see... Okay, so it is black. Which is actually really bad, because that means that it's the algorithm that's broken. Actually, let's go light set, or how do I actually do this? Light set... I don't remember how to do this. Oh, light create, okay. And we're gonna go light, and then it got rid of the hint, really? Okay, node red, green, blue, sky red, green, blue, cascading red, green, blue. Okay, I'm going to just try setting this to like 16, 16, 16, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Why are you so sad at me? Hold on. Why is it upset? Oh, because this isn't actually light value. Hold on. Light. Raw light. Raw light. Light colon light. And then if I do raw light in here, and then I can go light, render, pack render U64, raw light, and then I'll go light is equal to that. Okay, that should be a perfectly controlled light value that has 16 in all of the block channels. So it should be partially illuminated. But it won't be, probably, because I think it's Borked. But we're gonna find out. I honestly really hope this is a rendering bug and not an algorithm. Oh, shit. No, I think we got a problem, because that looks like a rendering bug, or an algorithm bug, because that's rendering properly, right? Like, that looks correct. I guess just to confirm I'm not crazy, let's try throwing in some skylight. So we'll go like that. So now we should basically see the exact same thing, but darker. I recently discovered that comments in code are actually useful. I mean, yeah, they are useful. I try to leave comments for myself. Sometimes I forget. Okay, that looks uniformly bright. Like, it's very dark, but like, it looks uniformly very dark. Let's try like the maximum value here. So this should set it to like 0.2 brightness times the maximum value. You intentionally leave misleading comments. That's horrifying. Okay. My future self deserves to suffer. Okay, so this is working, which means I've screwed up somewhere else. I've screwed up in the algorithm. Oh, great. I don't even remember how the algorithm works. It's been like 1.5 years since I've looked at it. We'll try to do a quick dissection, though. I'm gonna undo this. What is actually happening here? I hope you commented the algorithm. I hope I did. My comments are just arcane descriptions of my code. Sure. Okay, so check-int is going to be index seek offset. What? Hold on. Okay. So for each part, we pull in the index of the node, which is I assume that this is populated with like a different scale. I assume it's got like a 1 block. No, wait, data and yeah, so this has wait, what? Hold on, whoa. I don't know if I'm a wizard anymore. Data width. Data width, okay. So let's go look at where I call ingest chunk region data width. Ingest region. Is that the only place where this is run? What? Ingest chunk. It's only triggered by ingest region. Okay, where's ingest region? Ingest region is called in mesh region, which takes in a region width, which defaults to 1. Do I ever make it not 1? Yes, but not in code I actually use. It's just wild to me that we humans have the ability to write code that does what we want it to. Oh, I love coding. I genuinely think it's like one of the coolest skills in the world. A brain-intensive thing you can do. Yeah, I mean, it scales with what you're trying to accomplish, for sure. So I know that the region width is 1, which means that the data width so that's 1, then the data width is region width plus 2. Hey look, I actually commented on it. That's great. So we can see that we are populating the arrays with data. Here's another simple test. Let's go over to the map gen. One day we'll be able to code people. Wait, you think you can you think I already do that? Oh, you can already code people, got it. Where's my lighting? Generate light. So this this is probably not a good sign. Okay. Does this actually do something? It looks like it kind of does something. Huh. Okay, let's... Oh god, okay. This is very bad. Does this get run anywhere? It does. Let's just make this go through the entire chunk. I is less than space chunk length. And then I'm gonna do util power chunk length 3. Have you ever measured how many lines of code are in your entire project? My last VOXEL project was like 27K. I think this one is like 40,000 right now. It's kind of ungodly. Oh, this needs to be var. And then I'm just gonna go light create and chunk.light int times 3, or I times 3. I guess I need to get the chunk, don't I? And we're gonna go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Light channel max divided by 2, light channel max divided by 2, light channel max divided by 2. I don't know why the division by 2 is here, but it's down there, so I'm assuming that there's some shit that makes that make sense. So basically what we're doing is we're going through each of the chunks. Although we're only going through the top row. Let's add a Y in here. I'm just gonna comment temp code because I don't want to think that this is like something that I'm keeping or that like has any bearing on the algorithm below. I wish programming languages also scaled with me. It feels like a huge leap from little baby languages like GDScript to cool languages like Rust. I want pointers like in C. Yeah, pointers are really nice. Like, I honestly don't really like how Rust abstracts pointers away. Like, I know that you can write unsafe code, but it's just really frustrating to do so. Okay, oh, wait, I just go through the entire column here. Alright, sure, that can run, that's fine. Okay, so this should uniformly make every single block in a chunk be lit up. So this should be able to isolate if the problem is in the propagation algorithm or if it's in how we're reading the lighting values into the chunk data. I think that's what makes Rust so much more fun. It adds more challenge. I don't know. Okay, I'm seeing something. I'm seeing things here. So it looks like comment the temp code, otherwise I'll forget. The temp code isn't gonna make it longer than like 30 minutes here. Don't worry about that. I accidentally stopped the music by tapping my ear. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so basically, C# is a decent language regardless of who made it. Fair enough. Okay, so you can see that only every like 4th chunk is being illuminated here, and that is because the mapgen generates in 4 chunk tall regions, and apparently this isn't doing its job. So we iterate through all the chunks horizontally, and then we oh yeah, I see it. Because we're indexing over each chunk. We're indexing over one chunk, but we're actually pulling the chunk based on the local position, which is never updated in this code. That's fine. So, point being, there's an issue with this algorithm. Because this algorithm is supposed to just illuminate everything that's directly under the sun, right? So, let's find out. How do you compile shaders? Do you make it at runtime with C++ language or library like GLSLing? No, I'm currently just running them at compile time using like a CMake configuration. I want to get like a proper compile time thing going on though. Or maybe I will make it work at runtime. I haven't looked into that personally yet. Okay, so this being screwed, when it wasn't screwed before, tells me the issue is actually the sunlight propagation algorithm. Which kind of makes sense. It's a bit cursed. Let's try to read through this. So we're gonna go iterate through each chunk column, and cascade light down vertically within the column. Fair, but I want Rust. I like C++ and C++, I want Rust. I want to go my cool function, first argument crazy type, second argument cutie pie int. Wait, like you just want the postfix typing? He has a wrench because he's a mod. Okay, so we do that, and then we're gonna go iterate through each column of blocks in the chunk column, starting with an assumed sunlight value, and then iterating down. So that's what's supposed to be done here. We have sunlit true, and then we go, I'm just gonna go iterate through each column of blocks, and we're gonna go iterate through each chunk column, and we're gonna go start at the top and cascade light down vertically through the chunk. So, through the chunk column. So we have a local position y, which starts at the job size times the chunk length minus 1, which should be the maximum value in the column. Lighting's such a pain to program no matter how you do it. Yeah, it's so bad. And then we go, so as long as local position.y is greater or equal to 0, which this is it's a signed vector, so that's good. Then we're subtracting 1 from it. We're grabbing the chunk by getting the chunk position, the local position divided by the chunk. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we're trunking it down. And then the Z position. And we're indexing by the job size. I don't like how I've laid this out. Okay, there we go. And we're pulling that as a chunk. You like the weird star symbols that makes code weird to read if you're not familiar. I really like C++'s syntax for the most part, although there are some things that are really crazy. Like, have you ever seen someone like multiple dereference a pointer? I think I have one spot in my codebase where I do that. Hold on. This is just gonna find all double comments. How would I do a regular expression that isn't that? I guess just like not slash. It's not actually active here, but you can see there's a double slash or a double star. Horrifying. Rust doesn't really use raw pointers that much. It's abstracted away, not many weird star symbols. Yeah, and I don't like it. I like my pointers. Okay, so this should be getting the chunk index properly. Then we're getting the index in the chunk. That all makes sense to me. Then we're checking if the node there is transparent, which is a Boolean. And then we're doing a logical and? Shouldn't this be... Or sorry, that's a bitwise and. Shouldn't this be a logical and? Is there no logical and? Hold on. Operators. I'm looking at the C++ docs. And equals. Equivalent to assigning the result to the first operand. So why is there no and equals? That's annoying. Well, sure. Okay, so that causes the value to be unioned, basically. Or intersected, I guess? Yeah, intersected. So it'll only be sunlight if the transparent's continuing to go down. And then to make it simple, I can also just go with not sunlit, break. Or wait, no, we can't do that, actually. So then we create the light. That's cursed, but I think that's fine. And so that's setting chunk.light int times 3. That does make sense. So... You love your cursed regex expression? I love regular expressions, they're really nice. Okay. So... I'm actually not sure what's wrong with this. That does make sense to my brain. Because basically what we're doing is we're going... check if the node at the position is opaque, and set sunlit to the intersection of its previous value and it. And then we go into here and then go set the value either to sunlight, or set the light value. But it's not working. Very weird. Okay, so I've clearly got like some sort of misunderstanding here. What is going on? So we iterate through each chunk, then we go down, we have a local position, we start with a sunlight value, we iterate down. I just don't get how you're baking it into the mesh if you're using greedy meshing. Currently the greedy meshing is disabled. Like this is not currently being greedy meshed, but I do have a way to do it with greedy meshing, but you gotta let me cook. I gotta like at least get it rendering normally before I try doing that. Otherwise it's gonna be insane. Okay, what is happening here? So the local position Y is going to be starting really big and going down. I will soon! Okay, so the index is like that. And then we store it in chunk.light index times 3. Am I crazy? Why wouldn't that work? Like... the light values are stored as 3 integers. So this indexes into it properly, or at least it should. First live stream, yay! What are you working on now? I'm trying to figure out why my lighting is doing this. It's not exactly doing what I want. I'm looking at the sunlight cascade algorithm right now, and the basic system that it works through is it goes through each chunk column, and then it goes through each block column within the chunk column. Then it starts assuming that it's sunlit at the top of the region of chunks, and then it iterates downwards by decrementing this local position value, gets the chunk at the index, and then finds the block at the index, and then checks if the block is transparent. The sunlit value will get set to false if it's not, and then it creates a lighting value at the output position with the light, and otherwise sets the block to opaque. And maybe the opaque value is breaking everything. I can't imagine why that would be the case, but... I guess we'll try it. Okay. Nope, still borked. It's so weird too, like... It is possible, actually. There is the distinct possibility that I'm still screwing up the data copying. No, it can't be that I'm screwing up the data copying, because the data got copied perfectly when I had it before. I'm gonna do something really simple. I'm going to just make it so that instead of doing any fancy checks, it is just going to go and say if localpos.x plus localpos.z mod 2 is equal to 0, then we're going to create the light. So that should create like a perfect checkerboard, right? And that shouldn't be mistakable. That should be an unmistakable pattern, and there's no reason why this should break. If this breaks, I'm gonna be like really confused. Okay, we're screwed. Nothing makes sense anymore. Huh? Okay, in that case, I'm assuming that there's actually an issue with how I'm reading the light values into the mesher. Because this light should be fine, right? Like, unless, like, this would be really weird if this fixed it, but I'm actually more interested in seeing what it does if it doesn't. Because if I bias all of the light values to the start of the list, we should basically get like the start of each chunk being bright and then everything else being dark. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what we're seeing, except there's still jank going on. So I definitely think that there's an issue with my indexing right now. Wait, is this right? Oh, shit. Well, the light kind of propagated there, look at that. But hold on, is this actually correct? Because it is a checkerboard, right? It's a perfect checkerboard. But some of these values are pitch black and some of them aren't, so that's definitely not correct. It looked more correct, but we definitely saw that, like, that was only updating the start of the light values, right? So I think this is the right index. Maybe the darker light is overriding the lighter values. I don't think so, because performance bottlenecks, deeply nested loops. I mean, probably, yeah. I'm mostly just focusing on trying to make this actually function before I do a bunch of optimization. Okay, I'm gonna undo this checkerboard thing now that I'm convinced that the issue is with the rendering actually, like, copying the values properly. And let's actually go take a look at the chunk mesher. So, the chunk mesher, when it gets the light value, so it calls mesh region, and then it runs through, and then it goes mesh node. And our index here, I'm just guessing based on the checkerboard pattern that propagation is overriding the other nodes. That was me intentionally rendering a checkerboard, unless you're referring to, like, not this one, but the one we had before. Which, like, I agree with you, it kind of looks like that, but there's no way it should be doing that unless it's over here in this code. So this gets ind, which is a data index, and that's kind of important to see there. So this is the data index, and then when we get the light, we take a look at check ind. Huh, that sounds like a potential for error. Okay, so state.node data is being indexed by ind, but state.light is being indexed by check ind times 3. The times 3 makes sense to me, and then ind itself makes sense to me, but index seek offset. This is a template array? I didn't even know that was legal. How did I write this? Okay, sure. So region data width. This looks like this could be very wrong, actually. Oh, you like the font? I really like it too. The font is operator mono. It makes me happy. Okay, this seems like an obvious potential issue. So basically I'm trying to add or subtract a value here based on the side of the mesh that we're pointing at. So let's take a look at space.hpp. So the index function, it takes z plus the size times 2, x plus the size times 1. So that makes sense, actually. So maybe this isn't a code smell. Yeah, it kind of looks correct. And so then maybe the issue is with localPos.y == 0 is skipped, but often the bottom layer still needs lighting. Are you sure that's skipped? It's greater or equal to. Maybe you were like just confused by the ligature. This is a greater or equal. I have cursed font. I bet it's something really simple and obvious. Oh, thanks. Okay, so let's take a look at where state.light is actually computed. I see mem copies, which also are very code smelly to me. Albedo times equals .vec3010 global normal? I mean, that would be cool. I'm not sure I understand the relevance. That's how it is for me. I'll spend hours looking for the error and it turns out to be something really simple that I missed, yeah. Okay, hold on. So if const expression near mesh, then we mem copy the state.light at data in times 3. This is a deeply nested loop, right? Yeah. So this is copying everything else right. Query end, data end. 3 times size of U32. Does this mem copy look wrong? I mean, I can replace it just with that. Completely new here, is this Vulkan Dev or OpenGL? This is Vulkan. Also, welcome to the stream. I don't trust myself a mem copy, although this is just a mem copy in here. But... it's a mem copy, and it's at least, like, organized. It's still fucked. Okay. It's so weird how this happens at times. Like... I'm sorry, you said something like, I want to adjust the brightness based on which direction the surface is facing on. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm more talking about, like, offsetting what position I'm looking into the light, like, array. Okay. Such a specific pattern, what else could cause that kind of pattern? It matches the terrain a bit. It does. Okay, let's try another dumbass implementation here. So I'm gonna start... I'll grab the chunk, and I'll grab the index, and we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go if localPos.y is greater than space CL over 2, then we'll create the light. So this should create the light if we're on the upper half of a chunk. If that doesn't work, then I'm confused. I watched your video, hold on, first off, is this from Ultra servers? I don't know what that is. I watched your video regarding this VOXEL game, awesome stuff. I'm currently in the beginning stages of learning Vulkan, and after completing the Vulkan tutorial to the triangle struct, I still don't know where to go. I don't know Vulkan, it's hard. It is definitely really difficult, for sure. I wish you the best of luck when figuring that out. Look at that! That is wrong. That is very wrong. Okay, we have confirmation. It's not the data, it is the copying over to here. And I actually think the thing that we dismissed as not a code smell, or the thing that I dismissed as not a code smell, is the code smell. Let's go look at mesh part. Let's try not even using check-int. We'll just use int. In regular code, this would not work because if like a block is solid, then it won't have a light value inside of it, right? But in our case here specifically, where we're just kind of like plonking light values in if it's above a certain Y level, it will have illumination. And I bet this is going to fix it. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be really sad. It doesn't. Whoa. Okay, am I sure that compiled properly? Int times 3. Let's try that one more time. Huh. Okay, so, confirmation that it's not the check-ins that's breaking. Like the Minecraft server itself is the Ultra servers. This isn't a Minecraft server, this is a custom engine. What Michael said, 100%. I've been starting out with OpenGL and DirectX 11, hoping it'll be way more comfortable when I start Vulkan. Are you sure the propagation isn't overwriting? I don't think so. I mean, like... I'm not even sure how this could be. I mean, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I've got some weird jank going on here. Let's just write a dead simple loop. We're gonna go through each chunk in the XYZ. And we're gonna grab the chunk out here. And then we're going to grab the chunk position.x, the chunk position.y, the chunk position.z, then the job size. We're grabbing the chunk, and then we're going to iterate through z, x, y. Okay, so that is just a 6-level deep, ugly-ass loop. And then we're gonna grab the index at localpos.y. And then we're gonna do the thing where we're just setting the light if it's greater or equal to a certain value. This loop is like so basic, I mean it's horrible, but it's so basic that if it's wrong, we know that it's a problem with sending the data to the GPU. Alright, finally caught one of your streams. Hey there, Force of Phoenix, how you doing? Where's the Vulkan code here? Is this all abstracted away? Do you use VK Bootstrap in this project? I do use VK Bootstrap. All of my rendering logic is... Hold on, wait. I got errors. Where is the error? Did I put one too many closing braces? Probably. Oh, one too few. Wait, how did that happen? So that's aligned. That's aligned. Oh, I missed an indentation. Got it. Okay. Yeah, all the rendering code is elsewhere. It's in the actual renderer. I'm currently just trying to work on the data being passed to the GPU here for the actual lighting data. Okay, so it's still busted. It is still busted. It's busted in a different way, which is weird. No, that's super weird. Okay, now I'm even more confused, because that should have been the same. Oh my god. Okay, what? So, for each chunk position, we get the chunk. Then for each local position in the chunk, we get the index of the position, and then if its y is greater than space CL over 2, then we create a light value. We could do something a little bit smart, actually. Instead of doing it like this, why don't we just set the red value to localpos.x, the green value to localpos.y, and the blue value to localpos.z. That should allow us to actually see what the coordinates are. Okay. Huh. Well, I've got clown vomit. We're still getting a lot of... So, okay. I think this is confirmation that the values are getting kind of smacked into each other weird. Because how else would we get this... Wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Localpos lookup must be wrong? It can't be wrong. It's using the exact same algorithm as everywhere else. I just can't imagine how this could possibly be wrong, because it's so strange, isn't it? It's... okay, Huh. I'm gonna look through... Okay, hold on. How can I debug this in a way that doesn't ruin everything? What does light create do again? It creates a light, like a bunch of bits into the, like, pointer that you point at. Basically, it and the following two unsigned integer values. Code smell? What's the code smell? The fact that it indexes multiple things? I mean, that is fair. I have been pretty careful about that, though. I mean, chunk.light is times 3 of the array size. And it's also created at index times 3. The x is just a template type. It's just an alias for U32. Okay, so I think that we're writing it right, although I think this is grounds to confirm whether the copying code works. Wait a second. Oh my god. Hold on. So, when the game finishes generating the chunks, okay, I believe what it does, yeah, it compresses all of them. And then the other side decompresses all of them. What if it's a compression error? Hear about the new LLM called Codex from OpenAI. It's good at coding. I don't really like using, I don't really like using AI when I code. I mean, like, maybe if it's grunt work where I don't care about it, but, like, generally I find it just creates poor quality code. Hotel in Berlin. There's a button next to the bed that turns off all the lights in the room and bathroom. That is cool. I don't know what space CL is, but if it were... CL is the length of the chunk in one axis. It's 32. I mean, using it for bug finding isn't a bad idea, but honestly, I do just want to figure out what this is, because this is, like, crazy at this point. So, it must be I'm guessing what it is this encoding and decoding. So we encode the light, and then when we decompress, we decode the light, it goes into the light, so hold on, okay. Read light RLE, which is a vector of that. We decode the light out into the light value. Do we do any other processing on it? No. And then over here, we encode the light out into the light RLE. And then we append it. So we're writing and reading using this function here. And just confirming I have the order right, it's nodes, liquids, biomes, light. Node, liquid, biome, light. I think that's fine, yeah? Okay. It's worth the time, it feels like a victory. It really does, unless it's a really stupid bug, at which point I'm just kind of like, are you kidding me? Okay, so this function, it takes an array of length x times spacecl 3 times 3. Cool. And then it outputs, or it takes in an output variable, which is a vector of x. Then we grab the first node as a pointer. We have this start value, which starts at 0. Then we go, well, start times 3 is less than the input value's size, so we're iterating over it. And start is not a multiple of 3. I think this is probably where it's going to be. This seems like a code smell. Okay, and then we go length is equal to 1, and then we're going to go, well, start plus length times 3 is less than the size, and the light is equal at index start times plus length times 3 and our existing node, then we increment the length. So somehow, okay, when spacecl is 32, you get, whoa, lots of loops with 6 nested for loops. I'm surprised you can stream and run all that rendering code at the same time. Good hardware. Well, not exactly true. The job size is only 4, so it's 4 times 4 times 4 times 16 times 16 times 16. And this is also like heavily parallelized. But I mean, my hardware is pretty good. I have a 10th Gen i7, which is what's doing the bulk of that processing. So this makes sense so far, I think. Although this smells like an off by 1 error, because this is the length, but we're actually adding to it, so this is like an offset. Because start plus length is not the same as start, even when length is 1. So what is happening here? If length is greater than 1, I push back a 0. I push back a 0? And then I create a run length encoding bit. Oh. Okay, hold on. So RLE bit. Okay, there's a lot of shit going on here, and I'm guessing this is the problem. And off by 1 can explain that diagonal pattern you see. Yeah, I think that might be, I think we're getting there. I think that's what's happening. So RLE bit, big number. Big number. And then when we want to get the RLE length, then... Whoa, what? If this is a run length value, return the run length, otherwise return 0. If it is a run length value, move to the next xval and read it as a light value. Okay, hold the door. This is really weird. So first of all, if length is greater than 1, which means we've found a value. Okay, First of all, let's take a look at this. So say that we have exactly one value, then the next value is not the same type. Then this part is true, but this part is wrong because we're checking the next value, and then this doesn't increment, which means the length is 1. So this does properly find the length, find the current length, find the length stores the number of equivalent light values in a row. So that's that. Then, if length is greater than 1, so we're going to store an RLE value. I'm starting at this? What is this? Okay. Wow. Okay. If length is greater than 1, then we push back a 0, and then we call create RLE. Hold on, I will read that in a moment. So create RLE takes in a vector that goes out and it writes a single bit, and then RLE pos times val 0 and not RLE bit. Okay, I understand what's happening there. So if RLE bit is set, then we're taking val 0, anding it with the RLE bit, so we just have the RLE bit. Then we're shifting it all the way to the right, which is going to give us a 1 or a 0. Then we multiply it by the value 0 without the RLE bit. So this basically returns whatever number is here, if RLE bit is set, or a 0 otherwise. Okay. You're saying in.size is the count of light.x, not raw elements. You're multiplying the indices by 3, which implies you're treating the in vector as a flat array of floats or U8s. What is the vec of light x? Check, is vector U8 or vector light x? Well, this is a light x here for in, and a vector light x of out. And then this is multiplying by 3, which is correct. You feel like you're watching a game show? I hope this is entertaining. If in a flat array of U8, then dot size is in bytes or components. Make sure it's divisible by 3 and comment it clearly. Smarty's just trying to break the, stream rendering. Okay, so... this is very, very weird. I'm gonna try and write a super, super primitive function here. We're just not even gonna try to RLE encode it. We're just gonna go for let I equals 0, I is less than in dot size, I plus plus, and then we're gonna go, var, and then we're gonna go out dot and place back in I. So that's gonna write to it. We'll comment everything else. And then over here, we're going to go for let I is equal to 0, I is less than in dot size, I plus plus, var again. And then we're gonna go out, I is equal to in I. So in theory, this removes the compression, which is probably gonna explode my RAM. But it also should directly copy the light values. Look at that! Okay, so that's what we're actually generating, I think. Yeah, because that's the chunk boundary. So this is correct. So it's a problem with the run length encoding. Okay. It's starting to all make sense now. It's starting to make sense. Okay. So let's take another look at this run length encoding code, because this is weird. So, don't even need RAM. So length's just a number of equivalent light values. I assume that's correct. I think it's correct. If length is greater than 1, we push back a 0, and then we create an RLE at that 0. So we set we push an integer and set it to an RLE length bit, or an RLE length value. Otherwise, we push back 3 zeros for some reason, and then we copy... Oh, because we're pushing back 3 zeros and then we're writing the light value. So then we go, otherwise push 3 values and write them and set them to the copied light value. And this is out.size minus 3. Is that correct? I think that's correct. And then we do in start times 3. That's the bug. I think that's the bug. I think that's the bug. I hope that's the bug. Okay. Now for this one, let's just confirm this one makes sense. So for each of, so I is blah 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 blah. So I is going to be a offset by 3, and then V is going to be the current value, and then we're going to go if it's RLE, if it's greater than 0, we increment by 1, else len equals 1. Then we copy out the index plus plus. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Okay. Holy shit. I think that's the bug. Cough unit testing. Maybe eventually. Maybe one day. Please work. Please work. Please work. Please work. Please work. Okay. 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 Let's go back to the map check. Okay. Where is it? Propagate light, generate light. We'll bring back this freaky function. Get rid of this one. We can put things into the tags and only the YouTube people can see it and the Twitch people can't. That's so mean! You're gonna bully the Twitch people. Okay, that's weird. But I'm assuming that that's just me writing bad code. Oh, wait, no, that's just me writing this code instead of this code. Okay. I think this is gonna work. I think this is gonna work. Okay, so everything should be a little bit lit up. Except for underhangs. I see the underhangs, they're dark. Okay. You wouldn't want the Twitch people to be sad? I don't know, that seems pretty evil. Okay, look at that. So we've got underhangs being dark. That means that the light in the map gen is going properly. Does that mean Zeus default light blue? I can render an actual block light and it works? Please tell me my light propagation algorithm isn't broken? Okay, I got nothing. Why did I get nothing? Why did I get absolutely 0? I think this is gonna work. Okay, sometimes when I say that, it actually does. So, don't be so mean to me. Okay, did I mess up the chunk mesher when I was doing stuff? Like, chunk mesher? Not that one. Light value is render light. Render light is populated here, which is the result of PackUV, which encodes that. Huh. I think I'm being betrayed again by my own logic. This should have worked. Hold on. Block light. Okay. That's... Yeah, it's almost working. Hold on. I want to find the actual light bulb lights, because it's possible that those just don't work anymore. Zeus default light bulb or light torch. Give Zeus default light torch. No! It was so close. I was so excited. I've been cheated. Wait, yes? Maybe? Okay. What is happening? I'm confused. I'm updating the chunks. And it's updating the light. I think it's working, it's just not updating. Zith redeemed to hydrate, now I have to drink water. Okay. Wait a second. Let me update all these blocks. All these chunks. I understand now why that blue light was lagging my game and why it said it updated 47 chunks. Why is this one so big? Like, goddamn, jeez. Oh god, I put another blue light over here. I could probably do like a world edit command to like replace a block or two in every chunk, and that would probably help a lot, but I'm just gonna do this manually. It's like it's a grand reveal, okay? Lights. Lights. We have light. Kind of. You should make a command to refresh the world. I should. It's been so long. Yes, so I guess I can finally, a little bit, talk about the lights. So let's actually place a torch real quick. A torch, in big air quotes. Over here, where it's not gonna get affected by the blue light very much. So I can just talk about the algorithm without it being confusing. Okay, I think that's its whole radius. Yeah, so basically the algorithm, it works by... So in Minecraft, lights are diamonds. So they go kind of like boop, 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 and it's like very square-shaped. This is actually an octagon, and the way that works is when it starts propagating out, it is still node-based, but if it goes like from here to here, it stores that it traveled from this direction to this direction. It has basically 3 bits, 1 for each axis. And then when it propagates out the next time, any bits that aren't set, so say like this direction was not set because it's only this direction, it halves the amount that the light goes down. So it goes down by 0.5 instead of by 1, which causes it to basically extend out diagonally proportional to the length that it goes out straight, which creates this like octagonal shape, which is a lot closer to a circle, in my opinion. And it makes the light look a lot less like strange and diamondy. Like you can still see the straight edges if you really look at it, but like in my opinion, it's pretty hard to like really see that at a glance. And it makes the lighting look a lot more natural. It's so weird seeing just like a bright sky in a dark world, but you know. Let me grab some of the other lights. Let's look at the give Zeus default light torch small. Oh no, it's so pathetic. So yeah, this is my small torch. The reason that there's so much light variance, like in intensity, actually I do want to see how long that took to process. 1.6 milliseconds, okay. The reason there's such a variance in like the amount of luminance from the lights is that I wanted to basically have some like dynamic exposure stuff. So I could have lights that are like huge, right? While also still having like small lights like torches still be bright. That's not implemented yet, but the idea is that this should be relatively bright if you're standing in it. But as soon as you go over and look at this, it's gonna get, like, everything is going to be darker to compensate for this being brighter. I have some other cool colored lights. Let me pull them up. Light Bright is one I really like. So let's put it next to the light torch. You can see how it's very warm, right? Like even with the kind of greenish grass, like it feels very warm. You can see it on the tree there. If I go give Zeus default light bright, and I plonk this like here, and then we update all these blocks so that they work. This has a blue tint to it, so you can see that like these leaves are a lot more blue here than those leaves are orange. And you can see that they do blend together. Like if I put one in the middle here, it's gonna kind of drown out the torchlight, but I'll need to update all these blocks again. Okay, you can see that like it does mix. And like if you're up close, you can see like the colors change. What other lights do I have? I have a bunch of different red lights, apparently. I have torch small, I have yellow and green and cyan. Which ones are using the light bulb model? Torch, torch small, white, and bright. Give Zeus default light white. I assume this is like a purely neutral light, like it's not tinted. Yeah, that's kind of what it's looking like here. It has been actual years since I've last worked on this. So I think this does convey it pretty clear. And if I grab a wand, and I just go like, replace grass 5 stone. Replace grass 4 stone? Replace... This might crash the game. Plant air. There we go. Okay, so you can see against the stone, I think. Like, this is clearly very orange tinted. This is blue tinted. And then this is neutral. Damn, do I ever commit? I totally commit. We've done, like, barely anything. But yeah, I really like this light propagation system. It's just RGB, and it's linear too, which means that like the colors kind of bleed a little bit. Like you can see that this goes from like being very orangey to more red at the extremes because red is the highest component. And a lot of people stray away from doing light stuff like this because of that, like because it kind of has this color drift over time, which technically isn't accurate to the real world. But like, I honestly think it's a really nice artistic effect. Like, it makes it look like you're kind of like... I feel like your eyes do kind of do that to themselves when things get darker. And like, this blue light kind of ends up becoming more blue towards the edges. It first becomes cyan, then blue as it's tapering off. And I really like the effect. The octagon block layout algorithm is a smart idea. I got cascaded shadow mapping working today in my Vulkan voxel engine. Hell yeah, that's awesome. I do want to do shadow mapping for the sun, but it's not going to actually like influence the greater light levels. It's just going to be like, you know, shadows off of blocks. One sec. What if there's a fire? I'm trying to catch up chat real quick. Looks like your light blending may not be correctly gamma corrected. That's why there's a weird dark line where the lights overlap even though it should be brighter. The lights... So this is kind of a weirdness of the system. It's just taking the max of each component. It's not actually like summing them because it is still a node propagation system and I need to be able to like know what direction the light is coming from by what value is higher. So like this isn't technically correct in the sense that like this should be brighter than both of these, but it's just the maximum of both of them. I do think that gamma correction would probably help though with that in general, because it does feel very like high contrast. I feel like the light values are not very like linearly scaled, you know, they very much kind of go like right, off. Thank you, I'm so glad it worked out. Okay, let's take a quick look. This should be easy to fix, the fact that the chunks aren't updating. So we have this flush light queue, and it stores a list of chunks, modified chunks here. And then do we just not do anything with it? No, we do. But it doesn't do anything. So on chunk change, flush light queue sounds dirty. Inappropriate. Okay, so on chunk change, where am I setting the on chunk change? That should be in world somewhere. Or maybe not. On chunk change is set in here, and it's defined here on initialize. World chunk changed is here, and this meshes the chunk. I mean, like, that does seem like it should work. Flush light queue, modified chunks, dot in place, light chunk position. And then when I do it, it does say modified chunks dot size. Let's confirm. If I give Zeus default torch small, oops, Zeus default torch small. Huh? Is torch small not the right word for it? Light torch small. Zeus default light torch small. So that said, 2 chunks. I mean, that sounds correct. Hold on, does it do it? Wait, so that actually updated the chunk. That also updated it. That did at least its own local chunk. Does the light depropagate correctly? Don't make me feel sad. Wait, what? Why did that work? I thought it didn't. Hold on, give me a sec. Well, that one didn't work. Not yet. I have a system for it. It just doesn't really work. But like, I have a system to make it work. I just haven't really done it. You can see it's kind of funky here. It's difficult because it kind of needs to inversely propagate the light out, and the diagonal propagation makes that a lot harder to do. Like, basically what I need to do is I need to delete all lights, like all light nodes that exist that are within the influence of a light, and then I need to basically re-cascade out any light sources or any light nodes that are at the border of it. And it becomes really complicated to actually do that. But like, it should be possible, and that is like next on the queue for me to actually get that working. Like, as you can see, there is... Oof, that was a big lag spike. There is a system for it. It just doesn't really reliably work. And I think the reason that it doesn't work, if I remember correctly, is there's like a naive sort of assumption that the light values are always going to go down by like half a unit when it's depropagating, and it just ends up like somehow breaking everything. It's been so long. Can you recreate the unpleasant gradient I showed you the other day? I don't think I have those colors. Wait, it was green to pink, right? I have red, blue, cyan, green, yellow. I could do red and cyan, or red and green. Hold on, I figured it would be harder with the diagonals. Just propagate darkness the same way you propagate light, then back propagate from greater light sources. Yep, that's basically the plan. I just need to make it work. How high does the light go vertically? Is it a spherical propagation at all? It is. Here, let's go give Zeus default light red. Let's get kind of crazy. Rave time. If I boop that and then fix that, that's interesting. Oh, because it killed the sunlight below it, probably, I'm guessing, is what happened there. Very odd, though. There's so many chunks to update. I don't actually know why this isn't working yet. We'll take a look at that in a second, but let me just manually re-render these chunks first. Do that, and that. So yeah, no, it is vertical. And then if I go... I don't have a brown light, so I can't do that. But if I go give Zeus default light green... I am marking them as dirty, though. That's the issue. Like, if I go look at the client dimension, in the flashlight queue, it has modified chunks, and then it emplaces the light chunk position. Maybe this value isn't getting set properly. That might be it. Then we're gonna do a green light. And then I've gotta poke a bunch of holes. Poke a bunch of little holes in the ground to make it actually render. In theory, the red and the green should actually make white light in the middle because it's RGB and the... Wait, no, that would be if it was red and cyan. Okay, there we go. Ugly gradient. It's kind of brown in the middle. You have no is dirty marker on the chunk itself, you're just adding them to the queue. What happens if it gets added more than once? Good question. I mean, at least for here, it is a set, so they can't be added more than once. But over here, I don't, and that is because the regeneration is multi-threaded, and I don't want to have, like, mutable access to chunks across threads. I think I actually do right now, but I'm working on removing that. So when it actually tries to generate a chunk, or when it tries to mesh a chunk, it copies the data at the time that it, like, gets to the top of the queue. And so basically what happens is if the queue already has a chunk waiting to be generated of the same index, then it deletes the old, or no, then it just doesn't add to it. But the moment that it gets picked up by a thread, it removes itself from the queue, and then it will be able to be re-added. And then there's an internal, I think, like, chunk validity integer, which increments up every time a chunk gets mutated in a session. And then that is used to determine when, like, a thread returns a chunk, if that is the actual state of the chunk as it is currently, or if there's a more updated one that's going to be coming through. This unpleasant gradient shows up in your voxel game. What do? I put a blue light next to it. Use default light blue. And then I have to go poke holes in the ground again. This is annoying. I need to figure out... Yeah, that's very strange. You don't like the word dirty in programming? I feel like it's a pretty elegant, like, term for if something needs to be recomputed. But no, I've had issues when computing, or like when just storing a dirty flag in the past, because it's kind of hard to tell what needs to be done, or if it's actually been done, or if there was like an additional operation that happened that like should have re-dirtied it in the interim, which is why I use the validity integer instead. But that's mainly because multi-threading nonsense. Alright, I think that's colored. Look at that! The primary colors. I think right there is an actual patch of, like, pretty much white. Which makes sense. There should be a spot in the middle where it's, like, white. You like dirty in programming, not IRL. Fair enough. Yeah, like, this is neutral. Looks so pretty going down the hill. Thank you. I'm really happy with it. My idea for this biome, actually, if I'm afforded a chance to actually talk about the game, which I never do, I want to have this entire first biome be like this very bioluminescent zone, where basically in the daytime, the sunlight drowns out all of the block light, so you won't actually see anything. It'll just look like, regular terrain and then trees. But then as soon as it gets dark, there's going to be like spores in all of the trees that are like cyan, and so they just like light up the entire environment. I think that would look really, really, really cool. I've been wanting to ask what your plans were for the game, but didn't want to distract you from the GPU wrangling. Fair enough, I appreciate your restraint. Yeah, the game that I'm making in this engine, I haven't gotten very far along in like actually designing or implementing it, so it's kind of hard to talk about. I often just don't because I end up rambling at nothing. But I'll give it a shot. We'll see what I can do here. Basically, the idea of it is you end up crash landed on this alien planet. It's currently named Zeus, but I will probably name it something more search and indexable. And basically, there used to be an extremely advanced society on this planet that collapsed for unknown reasons that you'd have to play the game to figure out. But they basically, the only remnants of technology on the surface that still exists are these like obelisks that exist every once in a while, that are effectively like they are a what am I thinking of? A fragment of their like universal or like their planet scale healthcare system. So they basically had like instead of, wow, I'm sucking at describing this. Hold on, let me restart. Okay, imagine an advanced society that instead of deciding to cure diseases normally, decided that they can just like snapshot your entire body and mind and then just remove whatever the bad thing is from it and then reconstitute you without it. Kind of like Star Trek Transporter, where they like remove the foreign bacteria from you when you go through the transporter. And then the entire culture develops around that concept, and they build a globe-spanning network of like monitors that watch you for like basically snapshotting your mental and physical status constantly. And then the moment that you actually come like ill with something, you just kill yourself, it notices that, and then brings you back. And then, so that was their system. Something happened to them, they all ended up wiped out, and you end up crash landing on this planet thousands of years later. And the system still exists, but is like super duper broken down. And it ends up like, it effectively glitches out, and every time you die, you end up basically as a hybrid between your like human self and whatever the like most dominant species of like fauna in the area is, because that's like the information that is most in its like buffers or whatever. And so it's basically a sci-fi game where you're progressing through these areas by shape-shifting between different forms, and each of the forms have their own tech trees and their own weaknesses and abilities, and there's like a couple per zone, which is like a kind of set of biomes. And you need to progress through the game by like augmenting your physical capabilities as well as like traditional building and breaking and digging up rocks and stuff, and try to escape the planet. Spoiler alert, I don't think that's that much of a spoiler alert. That, I mean, I guess the fact that like that is what the technology was for is a bit of a spoiler, but it's ultimately an inconsequential spoiler. There's a lot more spoilery stuff I didn't tease there, which hopefully we'll get into the game at some point. Yeah, I'm back to business. Yes, I need to figure out why the lighting propagation isn't updating. But yeah, that's basically the game concept, and it's what I'm excited to start working on. But I guess right now, just to quickly digress for one more second, murder but for health reasons, yes. This is definitely not going to have a commentary on hubris anywhere at all. The complete confidence that your system will just pick you back up again if you kill yourself is very crazy. But yeah, so effectively, I have not had any time to work on this game, pretty much. And I do want to quickly just talk about this because I think it's somewhat relevant to the people who regularly follow my streams. Like, most of the time, when I stop streaming on a Sunday and then come back next Sunday and I'm like, alright, back to working on this, it literally has not been touched since the previous stream. That is not how this always was, it is how it is now. And the main reason that that is the case is because I am incredibly fucking busy. When I was, like, for the last year I've been finishing up my university degree, and this, like, last week I got confirmation that I passed my final course, and I am going to graduate, which is exciting. I will have a bachelor's in computer science. How, cool or something. But yeah, I've been super busy with school, but this last semester my focus has entirely pivoted to a commercial project that I'm working on with Brian, who is Intix in the chat. And like, that is a completely different reason for being busy, but it's the exact same issue, which is I have no fucking free time. We're trying to build a commercially viable game in about a year, very roughly. We got seed funding from an investor, and we've been working on the project for the past 3 months now. And we just finished our first, like, big deadline, which was getting the, like, a demo of it out to Seattle Indie Expo, which, if all goes well, we'll be there. So if you want to say hi and you're in the Northwestern American area, we'll be there, hopefully. So, but yeah, we submitted that on time. That was a huge crunch. We basically spent the last 3 weeks constantly working on it, which is why I wasn't streaming. Trying to have a bit more of a work-life balance after that, but, you know, it's unfortunately very real when you have funding and you have to turn it into a product, right? Like, it's hard to be like, oh, I'm just gonna not work for this week because I'm tired when, you know, time is ticking. But I guess the good news is that, you know, it is a game, like, we do have a timeline, it's not gonna go on forever, but by the end, hopefully, we should have a real game, right? And then I'll have a commercial product that exists in the world. And I'm really excited to show it off. I'm not gonna show it off, like, right now, because this is VOXELs, but, like, I'm excited to get it to the point where I can, like, actually demonstrate it on screen. So, yeah, I guess that is my life update. There's nothing really actionable on it right now, just more, my time is quite divided by this project and that project, but I'm really excited. I mean, my dream is that that project becomes successful enough that I can reliably afford to feed myself and work on both it and this at the same time, in a more healthy split, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I hope that I get a chance to update people more on that as time goes on. I've left like a million messages. Hubris is like unrealized confidence, kind of. Like, it's basically like, it's kind of like assuming that you are, or like, that everything's going to work out unreasonably, sort of. I mean, like, I'm not at the source, I don't know. Like, I know the vibe, I don't know how to describe it properly. Thanks for the congratulations. It feels good to be done in school. It's one of those things where, like, I kind of thought I wouldn't really care because I've not really been paying much attention to school for the last couple of years, but, you know, being done with it just opens up my life so much. And, like, even though I am grinding out this other project now and I basically have just as little free time as I started with, I am doing something I actually care about rather than schooling, so it feels good. Our game has 2D voxel. It has pixels. Yes, we worked for 50-hour weeks for the last 2 weeks. Capitalism's had face. Oh, you're in the Seattle area. Okay, there's a couple people in the Seattle area. Yeah, Seattle Indie Expo is free. It's at it's on the Sunday of PAX, I believe, but definitely look that up for this year. But yeah, I mean, we should be there as exhibitors, and if we're not, then hopefully we should be there as people, you know? Like, we want to go either way. But yeah, I would love to chat, and it doesn't, like, it can be about voxels too. So, yes, if you are in the area, then please do stop by. Oh, in the UK. I'm sorry, we don't currently have any, like, Across the globe spanning trips planned right now. Yeah. Okay. I feel like I just, like, talked straight for a very long time. I'm drinking water. I don't even care that there was no hydrate. Look at me go. Okay. Okay. I think let's take a look at the light not updating, because this is, like, the weirdest thing to me. So let's do a really quick benchmark here. So I'm going to put this over here. And we just saw 42 chunks, right? That was, in fact, printed from I did not expect that to be a problem. Wow. Christ, okay, flashlight, hue. There it is, chunks. So that was from modifiedchunks.size, right? We modified 42 chunks. Which chunks did we modify? Because I'm not seeing it. Let's actually print out what those chunks are. So I guess I'll just go for let chunk of modified chunks cout chunk. I can't see the word fleshlight. It's okay. I'll name it like purge light Q. That's much better, right? Okay, chunk of modified chunks. I mean metaphorically. Okay, modified chunks. So this should print out each chunk that gets modified. I have no idea why that caused it to recompile like 18 files. But it did. Okay, give Zeus default light red. Okay, I'm gonna place it. That's a lot of numbers. But I don't know if that's actually the right numbers. Because, like, this is the area... Oh, look at that cone. That's kind of scary. This is 0, 0, 0, I think. If I place a light here, that updated. So what I actually think is that somehow the light values are not propagating around the right block. Like, whoa, that's not... Huh. That should be going down. Alright, well. Whoa. Okay, that caused a bunch of blocks to update. That caused a lot more blocks to update. Kind of. I mean, we kind of got like a bit of nonsense happening here. Give me light. I need to see. This got very bright down here. What even... I guess there was a bright light in this area. So I'm gonna go right here, and I'm gonna go set light blue. Okay, that... Okay, there we go. That kind of updated. But it only counted one chunk modified. It's not skylight, I don't think. We do jank at light speed around these parts. God, I really like how the lights combine. I feel like it's really pretty to look at. You know that one area in the witness where, like, you're basically using a bunch of different, like, multiplicative screens to see, like, the different colors? I mean, sucks for people with color blindness. But, like, it kind of reminds me of this, and I really like looking at it. First day on the job as a bottomless pit inspector. Hold on. Okay, let's go expand 100 down, set air. Okay, here's my lovely pit. So that does provoke an update. If I go give Zeus default light red. So it did affect the chunk it was in. Again. But nothing else. I guess it affected the chunk it was in, which is fine because I placed the block in it, right? It's so strange that it's not doing it. Like, that's a lot of chunks, but all of them are small. Hold on. Let's go way out over here. Okay. This is certainly not near the world origin. But I'm gonna place down a light. Okay, those also aren't near the world origin, and it updated. I have to be marking them as dirty. It doesn't make sense otherwise. It's gotta be go. Like... God, this algorithm's horrifying. Why the hell does it work like that? Okay, let's take a quick look at this. So, when I place a block, go to references. When I place a block, it calls recalculate light. I'm assuming that that's always happening because it does print stuff to the console. Alright, so when recalculate light is called, yes, they do have bells. When recalculate light is called, we take the chunk, the index, the node, and the old node. Light is propagating, but the chunks aren't updating until you place a block. That implies the chunks aren't being marked as dirty. Either that, or you aren't doing anything with them after. I just don't see how. I guess I could, Well, I guess simple test for this. If we want to know if the light just isn't propagating, I should be able to place a regular block over here, and it should say how many light updates there are. None. None at all. Because it was a transparent block, but it updated, which means yes, the light is propagating, the chunks just aren't updating. So, you're right. But why? Okay. Other simple question. Let's go over here and let's go log, and let's just print out the space section, or let's go chunk dot pos. Okay, so we're just gonna log the position of the block that I place. You ate my ice cream sandwich. How could you? The light wouldn't continue propagating when you invoke a chunk refresh. No, it would, I think. I think the system does do that. I'm gonna make a fun little booklet to convince my therapist to take me seriously. What? Oh, okay. Alright, see ya. See you around. Okay, give Zeus default light red. Okay, and then if I place a block, that was 0, 5, negative 11. Was that in the list? Yes, it was. It was in the list, which means it should have updated already. For the record, Smarty, you aren't annoying. I like when you're around. Okay, so the light... So we are listing... Like, the block that I'm poking is, in fact... in the modified chunks list. And then for each chunk, we call onChunk change this dot index, which is the dimensions index. It's just not very clear why. So, assuming this works, let's go over to world and go to onChunk change. I'm just gonna log I don't, like, not everyone in chat needs to be on topic at all times, to be clear. We are getting pause. So, it does propagate into the refresh chunks, but it's possible it's just not propagating along chunk boundaries. But we saw the chunk. Like, so I was printing out the list of all the chunks that it said were dirty, and then I placed a block in one of the chunks that wasn't updated, and saw that its ID was in fact in the list of chunks that was dirtied, and it didn't cause a light propagation on its own, which meant that when it updated and it showed the lights, that had to be the old data that was already there. Okay, I'm gonna give light red. Whoa. Oh, I pressed Z and it updated all the... a lot of vertical stack. Huh. That's weird. Okay, that's definitely not right. There is nowhere that is in that area. Negative 116, 143, negative 14. But you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a block position. TP 116, 143, negative 14. Hey, look at where I am. Why would the chunks be in the dirty queue if the light has already propagated and the chunk has been built? Not sure what I mean. Or not sure what you mean. Why would the chunks be in the dirty queue if the light has already propagated and the chunk has been built? I mean, it should be in the dirty queue because it hasn't updated the lights, right? Like, it needs to regenerate with the new lights. So, you said the chunk was in the dirty queue when you placed the block down. Sorry, it was in the, so I listed, so basically I had it so when the lights finished propagating, it printed all the modified chunks. All the modified chunks are told to re-render, right? And then after I got that list in the console, I right-clicked, like, say, this chunk to trigger it to, like, update it. And that's the problem. Do you see that? That position's a block position. And this gets the chunk position. Oh, fuck me. Okay, why did I do it like that? So the issue is over here. I called chunk. So I'm saying that the chunk coordinate was updated instead of the block coordinate, which is what the function expects. Let's try that again. Basically, I was telling it that, like, the chunk coordinates was dirtied, but it was reading them as block coordinates, so it was basically only refreshing stuff around the world origin. Alright, plonk. Look at that! I think that's all the lights. Red is not a good one to test this with, though. Although that looks kind of blue. Although that's also above here, which I think has light. Give Zeus default light cyan. I'm pretty new to graphics programming, but does this lighting system work by changing the vertex colors of the mesh? Yes, it does. Oh, that's a very funky looking light spectrum. I think it makes sense though, because this corner is occluding some of the light. That's cool though. That looks very like, I don't know, it's a shape. It's a weird shape. Yeah, so basically, this is all data-driven, so every chunk and every block in the chunk has a light value that is computed and then stored when you place or break nodes, and then that value is sent to the shader. And then if I go into the shader, so I guess I can show, so the chunk mesher generates the light by calling this pack render U64, which just takes all the light values and compresses them into 42 bits. And then that gets passed into mesh part, which actually places into the vertices, well, vertices in quotes, because it's actually putting faces, but that's a weird technique. Just pretend these are vertices. It's effectively vertices. And you can see that I put the light value in here. And then over in the world.vert.glsl, the world shader, I pull out those values by basically uncompressing them from the data that was being provided. That's like all this bit shifting is basically moving the numbers over and then masking them out so that I get the original light values back. And then I compute a blend value by taking the skylight times its skylight factor and the block light, getting the max of the two, then dividing it by the magnitude of the lights so that it's, you know, actually from 0 to 1. And then I have a blend value that I pass to the fragment shader, which then gets multiplied by the color. That's interesting. How do you manage day-night cycles? Do you have to frequently redo the mesh colors, or do you send a global light value? That is something that Minecraft had to do for a long time, and Minetest still does, which is crazy. But no. Basically, you can see I've got two values here, block light and skylight. Block light is always just passed through as is, but skylight is multiplied by a factor. Currently it's just in the code here, but I will pass it in as a push constant, which is basically Vulkan's uniforms, if you're familiar with that. Or realistically, it'll probably be in state. So I'll just have like a float skylight factor in here. And then instead of having this here, I would do like state ustate.skylight factor. But I'm not going to do that yet because that involves actually messing with my rendering code. And if we go to the renderer, you'll probably understand why I don't want to do that right now. It's 1700 lines long. Lots of horrible little Vulkan things. Yeah, lots of words. Okay. I don't have time to get into how I'm going to do this with greedy meshing today, but I will tell you how I'm doing it, Oblivion, because I know... Pause the stream, you have to step away. Oh, terrible timing. Well, I guess you'll never find out. What a shame. I'll mention it when they get back, because they're very curious about it. But before I go, I'm going to wrap up the stream here, so... you know, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts? Please, throw them at me. I'm happy to answer. And yes, I will commit my code. Let's see. What changed here? That was just the vertex layout. This... What is this? Chunk mesher? Oh, because I use light copy. Yeah, that makes sense. Chunk mesh. Just commented that because that's nice. What inspired the name Zepha? I'm terrible at names, and so like 6 years ago, I opened a channel in my Discord just called Name Suggest, and just people kept throwing stuff in there, and eventually someone said Zepha, and I thought it sounded nice. It's, I think they said that they based it off of the word Zephyr, like the cloud spirits. I'm actually really curious, if I enable this, everything's gonna break again, because this is gonna re-add the greedy meshing, and we don't yet compute the light for greedy mesh segments, so... When is Steam release? Probably a long time away. I mean, this is just the engine, I still need to make the actual content of the game, and that's a ways off. Oh no, it's all stupid, because all of the greedy meshable segments can't be rendered. I guess this is a good way to show that the greedy meshing's pretty effective. Okay, unpause, alright. I hope you appreciate, I actually did wait to explain how I was going to do the greedy meshing stuff. I'm still here, tricked you. Found the lights look so pretty and super excited about the story and motivated to do stuff myself. Thank you, I'm glad you like it. Game content isn't AAA viable? What do you mean? Yeah, no, so... so I have to finish the engine, which I honestly think I could do in less than a year if I was actually able to work on this even part-time, so that's kind of what I'm hoping on, or hoping for this coming year, 2026. I'd love to be in a financial state where I can actually dedicate part-time, like, energy into the project. So we'll see how that goes. And then after that, I mean, like, I will definitely do early access for this project because it's going to be absolutely massive. But I assume there'll probably be, like, a year and a bit between, like, starting to work on game content and having something viable for early access, but yeah, well, we'll see. And I'll definitely be doing closed betas on my Discord a lot earlier, so... VOXEL engine development is such a long haul, it doesn't seem like it would be, but it is. It really is, especially if you get cursed by the brainworms that make you want to make it a general engine that works for everything. The dream is an RE room where everyone leaves her alone to work. Yeah, it's true. When we started the company, Brian was like, oh, I want to have employees and, like, work with people. And I was like, I want a room with a nice window and a computer in it that I have a lock on, where I can go in there and program and not talk to anyone. I had no idea you were still here. Those are the best brainworms. They are really fun, but they also make projects take 7 years. Oh, Base to Oblivion you, Okay, here you go. I'm gonna give you the quick explanation of how the lighting works, or how the lighting's going to work with greedy meshing. You better appreciate this. We'll probably get to it next stream. Basically, so I want smooth lighting, right? That is a thing. I'm currently using vertex pulling to store stuff like light data only once per face. And if I go over to the actual chunk or node face data, you can see that I'm only storing one light value per face. How do I do smooth lighting? That's what light dir and light falloff are. With my system, light can propagate in, I believe, 16 directions, because it has, like, straight, slightly slanted, majorly slanted the other way, and that's 4 times 4, so 16, plus 1 for it's not going anywhere, which is why this is... It should actually... No, I guess it can just be encoded as an arbitrary one with 0 falloff. So we need to encode the direction, and then the falloff, which determines how much it fades along the length of the face in that direction. Which, combined with that, we can still have strips of blocks that have, like, say, the light direction, which says it's going this way, and then the value can be the highest value, which is at the origin in the direction of the light fall-off, and then it can just, like, subtract by the total fall-off as it goes along the length of it. And doing that should make it possible to, actually store, like, so long as a face has light going in all the same direction, then it should be possible to greedy mesh all of those tiles. So basically, if I put down a light, like Zeus default light, torch. No, I spelled it wrong. Give Zeus default light torch. All of the faces that are, like, in this little strip could be greedy meshed. All of them in this strip could be greedy meshed. All of them in this line could be greedy meshed. So it's basically, like, it's not a perfect system, because, like, you would still need to break up the greedy meshing by the light values a little bit, but realistically there's usually not that many, like, continuous faces that can be greedy meshed in a span for a big light anyways. What if 2 different lights intersect over the same strip? Well, I mean, that's the benefit of the fact that it's, like, you know, it's just node-based, right? So all I'm doing when I'm computing the greedy meshing in the system is I'm just, in addition to checking that, like, say I'm starting here and I'm going to here, in addition to checking that it's the same type of block, I also need to check that its light values are effectively, like, subtracted from this one by the light fall off in the direction, and then are also still going in the same direction relative to the other blocks. And that should allow it to be illuminated, I think. Like, it should allow it to work. I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna write the scanner for that. I need to be careful that it doesn't end up super complicated. But like, it should, like, technologically it's possible. I just need to make it scan through efficiently. I'm gonna put a new worm in your brain, animate the little grass stuff hanging off the grass blocks. They actually were a long time ago, and they still should be. They're just broken right now. So that might also be a thing to fix next stream. Because like that is why they have never been greedy meshed, even when I have greedy meshing enabled, because they are supposed to be deformed by the waving. I have no idea why it's not working, but hopefully I'll be able to show that maybe next stream. Runs pretty smooth? Yeah, it's pretty smooth overall. I mean, there's definitely some jank with the really large lights. Like if I give myself a Zeus default light cyan and I go here, that took 117 milliseconds, so that's like 8 frames. So that's not good. But I do plan on doing some funky multi-threading stuff for that to handle it. I love the little grass texture. It looks like you're walking on broccoli. Thanks. I really like the like billboarded grass. I kind of did it just as like a test a while ago. I used to have the grass be like plus signed like this, but I think it looks really nice. Like 90% of the time you don't even notice it's billboarded, but it's always like nicely facing you. It's just if you walk like diagonally like this, you can see it moving, but I don't really think that's a big issue because like if you're not focusing on it, it's not really even a thing. Yeah, that sounds too complicated. I would just store the light values in a buffer on the GPU and look up into the buffer. It just takes up so much space. Like we calculated, like it's 512 megabytes of memory just to store like 3,000 chunks of light, which like realistically, I think that's a lot. I mean, it's mainly just the cost of the air blocks. And I guess I could maybe do some sort of like little octree thing, but 512 megabytes is nothing. I don't know. I'll think about it. I will think about it. We might end up doing that system anyways because I know I want to be able to illuminate entities by their like position in the world across multiple blocks. And that would probably use that system, at least for chunks where the entities exist. So I guess like I could implement that first, and then use it, and then do the optimization of baking it into the face data later if I think it's worth it. I can't do run length encoding on the GPU. That means that there would be an O of n cost to reading out of it. That would hurt my soul. Maybe make the bottom of the billboard grass like less dark, because currently it's kind of weird how it's dark, but the actual floor is fully lit again. That's fair. I actually think that's the wrong grass color. If I come over here, Zeus default, light, white. Where is the part where there's no trees? I have a different grass color in the forest versus the plains. This is a spot that has the right color. Like, I think that's decent. It is a bit darker. It could probably end up being brighter, but this is kind of me faking a little bit of ambient occlusion. Bake it into the face data for far chunks, but for closer chunks use buffers. Yeah, that makes sense. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think that is a topic for next time, which will hopefully be next Sunday. I am pretty committed to trying to actually resume streaming at a reasonable schedule. I know it's been really spotty. I'm thankfully out of crunch time, at least for the time being though, so that is the goal, and you can all get mad at me if I fail to meet that goal. Ooh, that's kind of funky. Next time, I will likely work on making it so that the like light removal works properly. Or perhaps I'll actually make it so sunlight is a variable that can be configured again, but we'll see. Back got the light working. Yes, we did get the light working. It is rendering again, which is good. I'm really happy that it's back. When will you be adding an inventory and hotbar system? So that would be a mod, because like I don't want to make any assumptions about the engine, like having inventories. I had a somewhat working implementation of that, but it's kind of scrapped right now because the GUI system's kind of fucked. That would probably come a bit later though, like when I'm actually doing survival testing, because I don't need an inventory right now, but I do have plans for it. Alright, can't wait for the next time, I'm so excited, but also please know I will not be mad. Okay, hold on. You're too reasonable for me to assume you're evil. That's where you're wrong. But one day everyone will realize how evil I really am. Yes, I am actually planning on doing a radial menu for the hotbar. It's gonna be funky. Yeah. What level of abstraction do you aim to provide? Like, for inventories and stuff? I mean, like, I don't want to assume anything about a character that can mutate a world in my engine code. Like, even for as far as the player right now goes, all the physics and stuff are being computed. I guess the physics are in the engine, but like the actual like controls and the camera movements and stuff are all handled in TypeScript right now, and I'm just telling the engine what entity should be the camera. But I do plan to make a mod that implements like a generic like inventory framework. Yes, it is the I don't want to assume anything brainworm. I plan on making a mod that implements a framework for inventories that other mods can depend on so that they can have an inventory system without reinventing the wheel every time. It's just I want to keep as much of the stuff out of C++ as I can, as long as it doesn't affect performance. What was I going to say? There was one more thing. Yeah, runtime is using TypeScript. That sounds very similar to the system I had planned, Oblivion. Maybe you'll like it when it gets there. We'll see. Why is it a brainworm? It's just a brainworm because it ends up taking fucking forever. My chatbot framework should not expect people to use a chat interface. You might be too deep. This game being a mod built off the engine reminds me of how Vintage Story works. Yeah, Vintage Story does something similar, and I believe it worked pretty well for them. Okay, I have one more thing to show you all before I ditch, because I am very hungry. And it is this. I'm just gonna flash this across the screen really quick. Ooh. I was working on a new script yesterday. I don't know when it's gonna be done, but that is distinct progress on the next video on the voxel meshing series. I'm gonna be talking about GPU, like bandwidth and throughput, instancing, and indirect rendering. So, I don't know, stay tuned for that. I hope that it is good. But yeah, it's only been 8 months. Can mods use C++ if there's performance requirements? Not currently, because I like the fact that the mod is, like, the modding infrastructure is sandboxed. It can just have mods sent from the server to the client without having to worry about breaking stuff. Pause video exists. I know, you can pause. There's nothing really, like, super sensitive on there. I wouldn't have shown it otherwise. I'm just teasing. It's gonna be such a huge video for me when it drops. Hell yeah. Well, I hope that it can drop sometime in the next century. I think I'm about halfway done the script, so once I do that, I've got the somewhat arduous task of creating visualizations, but hopefully I should be able to reuse some of the framework that I used for the last video, because I'm using motion canvas for my animations, which means they're actually code-based, and so the 3D renderer that I programmed for the last video is actually something I can reuse now, which is great. But yeah, let me throw back on the camera. Let's chat. There's nothing else on the screen. 11:46 p.m. in Germany. I'll go sleep now. See you later tomorrow. Before you go, how many years of experience do you have as a programmer? I mean, overall, like 10? But like as an actual serious programmer, well, I don't know, like 10. I started programming when I was 13. That was like my first language. I knew nothing, and I am now 23, so 10 years, I guess. I mean, I tried when I was like 10 years old, but I promptly failed, so I don't know if that counts. What am I hungry for? I don't know. I mean, I was just gonna eat like salami out of my fridge because I'm lazy and I don't want to prepare anything, but I might make some mac and cheese. That would be nice. I eat like a 7-year-old. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, I'll probably prepare something. Should you head out? If you... Wait, do I have time for that? Yeah, if you want to get food together, let's do it. Does that mean that when you started Zepha, you were in high school still? Yeah, so not all of that time was spent, like, working on this project specifically. This project, I think, has been the last 6-ish years. I started in my last year of high school. You've been doing voxel game dev longer than I've been programming? Damn. I guess that explains why you know so much. But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing the numbers dwindling. Everyone's leaving. They're running away because they know the stream is ending. Actually, that's only on the Twitch side. All the YouTube people are still here. Why are all you YouTube people still here? The stream's practically over. No, yeah, I'm going to... Wait, you made the Voxel Game Dev subreddit? Oh my god, okay. That's a small world. That's really cool. Alright, well, yeah, thank you everyone for stopping by. I'll be here again next Sunday, barring some sort of apocalyptic event. It was great hanging out. I had a great time. It's always fun, especially when I start streaming again after a long time, to chat with everyone again and remember how much fun it is. Alright, everyone. Wait, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm barely a mid-level software engineer. Yeah, alright. Well, have a great rest of your days. I'll see you around next week. Bye, all. Oh, arbitrary plug of Discord. Discord link at the bottom. You should join the Discord. Discord is cool. Okay, bye.